recap for Gospel Fashion Week. This serves as a few things. It serves as a live recap. It also serves as just some encouragement. It serves as me being transparent. It serves as a celebratory thing for Gospel Fashion Week. But most importantly, the goal out of this is to just make sure that I am sharing through transparency, sharing just some biblical insight and just ways to encourage others who are on the journey that may be similar to mine. You might have a totally different journey in your life of what you do, but if you have decided that you are a person who has dedicated your journey, or you are in close relationship with God because you value your relationship with God and all that you're doing, then this video serves you all, because it's not an easy journey, but this is for you all because I know what it's like. So I'm willing to be transparent about my journey in hopes that it can encourage you, motivate you to continue doing this God's way. All right. So I just want to introduce myself for some of you that don't know me. You might be new to this, to my channel, or to see any of my videos, or you may have been following my journey. You may have participated in my events. So you know me. My name is Ebony, but for those that don't, I'm Ebony. I'm the owner and creative director of Godly Models TV, which is a premier platform for good, clean entertainment that pleases God. All right. So because I was trying to think on how I wanted to tailor this live conversation and what I think I want to do, because there's so many things I want to talk about, but I won't be able to do it all here. But for those, again, that are new to my journey, or you're just meeting me because you were just a part of one of my recent events, or you know me now for a few years, of what all I've been doing in my ministry. I'm always trying to give words of encouragement, biblical insight. I do my pop-up Bible studies. So anything that I do that I'm willing to share to make it public, is I'm willing to again do this in a way that is that, because I know God is watching. So I just wanted to just share that with you all, and just sharing my journey again, being the owner of this ministry, or being the leader of this ministry under Godly Models TV. Excuse me. Under Godly Models TV, I have been able to produce some events now. So I just want to just share. So again, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to tailor my conversation. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share my full transparency and feelings about everything that I've gone through for Gospel Fashion Week, and just kind of wrap it up with just giving some biblical insight and just sharing that, because in no way am I wanting to ever encourage somebody not to do whatever you're doing apart from God. If that makes sense. Everything we do, and again, this is for the Christian believer, or the person who has faith in God, or even the person who is just kind of stumbling upon your journey, and you want to know why should I follow this journey of doing this to God, turning your life over to God, surrendering to God, submitting to God. But you trying to figure it out, because it's not easy. You've been your former self and you're trying to work it out. You want to be renewed. You want to change, and it just hasn't happened for you. So whatever season you're in, this video still serves the person that still has a heart for God, but you either may be fallen away, or you may already be in it. You have submitted, totally surrendered, or you've fallen off and you have some setbacks. So this journey is for that. This video is dedicated to you all because I get it. All right. So I'll just kind of start with sharing again why I'm having this video. I want to talk about Gospel Fashion Week, which God has allowed me to see another Gospel Fashion Week, which is my fourth Gospel Fashion Week. I started it in Birmingham, which is where I currently reside. Then I had my second one in Savannah, Georgia, which is where I'm from. And then I had my third one in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And then I had my fourth one in Jacksonville, Florida. Hey to everybody that's joining on the video. So God has allowed me to see Gospel Fashion Week come to fruition. So the reason why I'm talking about Gospel Fashion Week, because under Godly Models TV, Gospel Fashion Week has become my biggest initiative. It's a lot happening. It's a 3-day weekend of fashion, fellowship, family fun, where the whole weekend I am bringing together creatives, entrepreneurs, models, designers, anything fashion and entertainment. So that's down to entertaining people, DJs, MCs, panelists, just all of those things. I bring that together for a full weekend. And then not only in that, it allows people that if you have a gift or a talent in several areas, multiple things, Gospel Fashion Week allows you to come together for that weekend to be able to share out those gifts. So, for me, I'm the type of person that I believe on the foundation of saying where through all things, through Christ, you can do all things. So I wanted my foundation to be where if somebody wanted to be a part of my event, that they perform, they're a performer, but they may also have a clothing brand, or if they're interested in modeling and they've never modeled before, but they have done MCing, you can do those multiple things. And I feel like it's okay to do that if you have decided to commit to it, and of course within reason of knowing you're able to do it all. So that's what Gospel Fashion Week is about. So not only again am I a platform that brings all of that together, but it allows people to do multiple things if they can. So in that, again, I just want to say how God has blessed me to be able to have my 4th Gospel Fashion Week. So literally Gospel Fashion Week has only been operating for a year. Godly Models TV, though, which is the foundation, my whole platform, I started it in 2022 is when it became official, when I officially got a license for Godly Models TV. So I just want to kind of share a little bit of my backstory before I just get into what the whole premise of why I'm having this video. But I just want to be transparent about my journey, because I do feel like there are a lot of leaders, a lot of speakers, a lot of people that we might look up to for motivation, or we look at their success stories and that's all we see is their success. That's all we see is, how things worked out, and now they're on the mountaintop of their journey and what they're doing. They're in their blessed season, but they don't really share the slip ups, the fails, or they don't tell you those parts. So for you, an aspiring person or a believer who is really trying to pursue or carrying out your ministry, or you're a leader of something, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're serving in that capacity where you are impacting others, you want to sometimes know, like, okay, so I did make those mistakes, or I did fail in this area. Does that mean that I'm supposed to give up? What does this mean? Sometimes you just want to know, like, oh, okay, this happened, so I will be okay. I will keep going. But when you have those people who you look up to, the people who are profound, popular, whatever you want to call them, they don't really tell you all of the things. So all you're getting is you're blind of saying, like, oh man, maybe I'm messing up too much or whatever, and they just don't tell you those things. So I have decided that I don't mind being transparent and sharing that, so you can know, for the next believer, again, for the person who's either trying to walk this thing out with God, just may have a little rockiness, but you know that you want to do things according to the will of God, and you're trying. This message is to encourage you, because I get it. All right, so I first want to just start with that. So yes, in 2019, though, is when I I ain't gonna say fully, but I made a decision that I wanted to do this thing out, walk this thing out with God. My former self before that, I was going through a lot, and I'll share that another time, but I was just a person that I was doing the things that I love to do. I was pursuing entertainment, fashion, music. I was a performer at one time. Fashion was something I always had a passion for, but I had no regard for God. I did not do anything in according to God at all. I thought I had all the control. I was just after my exploits, but it was apart from God. All right. So that's just a little bit brief of how my life was before. I went through some stuff though. So God had to chasing me, and I went through some really dark season of anxiety, depression, and I'll share that at another time. But I went through a lot, and where my back was against the wall, I had to cry out to God. So I want to say, like, my journey changed, my trajectory changed out of fear of thinking I was dying. Because when I was going through that anxiety, I thought I was dying every single day, living in immense fear every single day, to where I had to call out to God. So God made it to where, daughter, you trying to ignore me, you trying to walk away from me, you don't want to do this with me, I'm gonna force you to have to do it. So long story short, though, after going through that and, kind of coming out of that season of that dark pit of anxiety, thinking I was dying every day, doing it with God and doing it sober. And I'm going to save that for another conversation. Doing it sober, not depending on any drugs, alcohol, none of those things, not even the medicines or medications that the doctors were trying to prescribe me with going through anxiety and depression. I didn't take any of those things. I take that back. I tried it one time for a few weeks. And when I just felt like, no, this don't even feel like me, I quickly let that go. So I'm saying I went through that season of immense darkness, fear, thinking I was dying without resorting to taking over-the-counter medicines, without resorting to drinking alcohol, smoking, none of those things. I did it all sober. So just to have to go through these things when you are sober, going through the heat, going through the fire, that's a whole another testimony in itself of giving glory to God. And I do believe now I understand why God made sure that I went through that season sober. Because it's some things God needs me to do, and he don't need me to come out of that, but then also have to learn how to go through withdrawals or learn how to go through that counseling season after, just being consumed by alcohol or drugs and things like that. So I'm thankful that God had brought me through the fire, being sober in that. So anyway, after just going through that season, y'all, here we are reaching 2019. I moved to Alabama to support my daughter through college. So here I am. And again, now I also believe why God just gave me that prompting to leave. All right. So it was a reason for that, because all the trauma, all of the things that I went through in my past and my former self was all still in back home where I'm from. But it wasn't until I moved to a new place, uprooted, and had to leave where I was and go to an unfamiliar place, that my ministry started. That's where God allowed me to give birth to my ministry. So this is where, again, in 2019 is where I just definitely made a verbal decision in my heart, a verbal and a heart decision that I want to walk this thing out with God. I didn't know what that meant, but I went dedicated to it. That means I was, constantly reading the Bible, constantly watching sermons, constantly, just dedicated and carefully determining what pleases God. Meaning I made a decision that I was going to, everything that I do, I am considering God in all that I was doing. So hello again to all that are joining. I'm just sharing my story, a little bit of my backstory, and then I'm going into why this video, which is the success of Gospel Fashion Week, but just sharing, just spilling my feelings about it and just giving biblical insight. All right. So yes. So in 2019, I made that decision. It wasn't an easy decision, but I made it because I was just like, hey, I've done everything all my life according to trying to live to please the world and trying to get approval from the world. And I saw what it got me. Still got me rejection, heartache, disappointment, slap in my face, still feeling at my lowest, still feeling like I've given up my soul to the world for their approval, for me to still get no approval. So I saw what they got me. All right, let's see what it gets me when you decide to dedicate and do that same thing for God. Well, here it is. We're almost 10 years in, and I'm still on my journey of surrendering and submitting to God. It doesn't mean it's a perfect journey. It just means that I have made a decision, and you have to keep choosing. You have to die to your sins and die to self daily in that journey. Because yes, you might get saved, or your salvation has been saved, or you feel like you are you're a new person, but you got to keep on doing that, right? It don't stop after you just say, all right, I believe in God. All right, I'm a child of God. All right, I believe in Christ and all of that. And then you think that's it. No, it's a continual, constant, consistent thing that you are choosing daily, because from one day to the next is different. All right. So long story short, again, y'all, 2019 is where it started for me to dedicate whatever it is moving forward that I was going to do to God. So also in 2019 is when COVID happened. Now, I'm sure everybody know that. We always mandated to stay in the house. That is when I really had a true conversation with God about what it is I want to get back to doing, because I was at that time when I just moved to Alabama. I was driving Uber. I was working at a salon, but those were just those are just jobs, things that I know that this is not in my heart what I am called to do. I always felt in my heart that I had a call to do something big to impact others. That's just always been me since a kid. I'll share that story another time. So here I am though in 2019, like I'm not happy with my life. This is not what I should be doing. I should be doing bigger things, impacting people, back to what it is I felt I always knew I was born to do. And so I had a talk with God, and it led me to saying, get back into doing your fashion and things like that. But in this decision, when I was talking to myself or having a conversation with God, I'm dedicating it to you. So I made the decision that when I was going to start up me doing some business, doing fashion and starting my t-shirt is where it started. I said, this t-shirt company brand is going to be dedicated to God. And I want to share a little bit about that because as an entrepreneur, and this is an encouragement for those of you that are entrepreneurs, or again, you are a leader of something, or you have a business, or you do things on the side where you deal with people, and it calls for you to either do business or whatever. It's different when you are taking on that layer now of doing things God's way. All right, when you decide to commit to God, you are doing things different. For me, knowing that I'm submitting to God and I've surrendered my journey and what I'm doing and in my walk to God, it's a totally different thing for me because I cannot do things the same way that everybody else in the world is doing it, right? I have to carefully choose that. Whenever I make a decision about something, I got to go to God. I got to pray about it. I need to read the Bible. I need to follow what the Bible is telling me what to do. It is just a whole different layer and a whole different thing when it comes to following and pursuing your journey, carrying out your ministry, knowing you are doing it, knowing that God is watching. It's just a totally different thing because you have to be careful about what you're doing. You have to be careful about what you're saying. You have to be careful about your actions. And then you also have to be ready for what is going to come your way. The spiritual warfare, Satan himself. It's just a whole different ball game when you have decided to surrender and submit to God, because that means now you have entered into the arena of spiritual warfare. All right. So that'll be another conversation for another time. But this is what I am up against now that I have decided to be an agent for God, to give God access to my life and walking this thing out. So to the point of me saying, all right, I want to start I want to start my fashion business or whatever that was. For me, that was just me starting doing t-shirts, faith-based expression t-shirts, because I knew that was an easier thing for me to do at the time, because I'm thrusting myself right into it. Like, hey, I always love fashion. I can at least start with doing some t-shirts. So I dedicated that to that. It's a very slow start, but here it is. I still got a brand that I am invested in now. It's called Christian Adorn Apparel. So I started there in 2019, y'all. And so from 2019, I was still, doing my shirts and, to growing in that, because, I was kind of new to doing it, even though years ago, fashion always was something I had a passion for. I always dreamed of wanting to be a fashion designer. I never did really explore more into it or did get a chance to. I did try to go to college in the past, but that didn't last long. So I never did get any degree or anything like that, just self-taught and just having that style or fashion just innate in me. Here I am just trying to push it into what it is I want to do. So I'm starting it. Here it is. So 2019, 2020 is when Christian Adorn was officially like branded and people I'm trying to bring awareness to Christian Adorn Apparel. All right, here I am as now just a faith-based apparel brand. I'm trying to get involved with stuff. I'm trying to join people's pop-ups. I'm trying to be a part of people's fashion shows, all of these things, because this is all the stuff that I love. Nothing changed about what my former self was always trying to do. But here I am as my new self trying to do these things. So here is where the spiritual warfare and the disappointments and still the things that can happen. So it doesn't mean that when you choose God that it makes it easy. It just means that you have a Savior, you have Christ, you have God that is responsible for you when you are doing things inside the will of God. All right. So, but here I am, trying to be a part of stuff, me always, having an entrepreneur spirit, thinking of ways to organize or be a part of stuff, y'all. It was just disappointing after disappointment of trying to be a part of people's events and meeting the owners, meeting the people who were the promoters or the people who planned those events that I'm trying to be a part of, trying to get out there and network and bring awareness to my brand. It was just disappointment after disappointment, dealing with people, finding out who they really were, or some of them, they're not professional. To me, it's like they're not handling their business right, or they're greedy for money. They're all about the money. They don't care about the person. They don't care about, what they're presenting to people. It was just bad experience after bad experience. So I'll save that for another time, but I'll say the experience that led me to start planning my own events and moving into more of a event planner and production was when I wanted to be a part of this fashion show that was supposed to be in St. Louis, Missouri, y'all. No, it was near California, y'all. I was going to be willing to travel, pack up my stuff, and I was going to drive to this to this state to be a part of this fashion show. They were going to have their fashion week there in their state. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. I'm excited about this. I had reached out to the lady. We were communicating. Y'all, I was just so excited about this opportunity. And this was my opportunity to showcase launch my brand of, Christian Adorned Apparel, which is faith-based, meaning all of my clothes and everything was designed from either t-shirts or me cutting up shirts and upcycling things and turning into new creation. But I'm always imprinting, making sure that it was imprinted with a faith, some type of inscription that was either faith-based or Bible inscribed, just anything that was encouraging. So that's what stamps Christian Adorned Apparel, is that I complete my designs with an inscription of either a word from the Bible or anything like that. So y'all, long story short, I get to be a part of, excited about the fashion show. Now, this particular show, which I get it, you had to pay to be a part of it. So I paid my fee to be a designer. Y'all, on the day of getting ready to travel, to get on the road, to take a 3-day trip to be a part of this fashion show, the situation with renting the car, I'm sure some of y'all might know because y'all may have experienced it one way or another with renting a car and things didn't go how you thought. So y'all, long story short, I could not rent the vehicle, and this is on the day of. I did everything I needed to do by reserving the vehicle online. I thought I was good to go, get there, whole totally different story. Couldn't rent the vehicle. All I was left with, either I can drive my own car or I can't go. I would have loved to drive my own car, but my own car had problems. And I was like, I'm not traveling that far with a vehicle that I know is issues happening. So it left me with saying, I am not going to be able to go on this trip. So y'all, I was so heartbroken. But what broke my heart even more was reaching out to the lady to tell her, I am so sorry. I am not going to be able to participate in the event again. I'm not going to be able to get there because I cannot rent this vehicle, yada, yada, yada. I'm coming from Alabama, coming all the way where you are. This is a 3-day trip if I drive, yada, yada, yada. But it's the day that we're supposed to leave. The event, though, was like 3 days away. But I was giving myself time because the idea was to travel. Me and my daughters was taking this road trip together. That lady was like, well, I'm sorry, and I definitely understand. This lady would not refund me my money. Now, I get it in a sense. I understand to an extent. But I felt so heartbroken that even after me pouring my heart out of being sincere, that I could not make it to this event. This lady was like, well, we're sorry. Just let me know, next time if we have another event, then you are good to go. So the fact that this lady would not refund me my money, and it was over $200. So to me, that was a lot because I'm already a broke middle class individual trying to invest in myself. I can't afford to be losing no money, not a dime. This lady said she not refunding my money. My heart was broken. So from that situation, and I do, and if y'all are following someone, pastor named Pastor Darius Daniels, which has really helped me along the way in my journey of growth and my spiritual connection and relationship with God. I give a lot of props and credit to Pastor Darius Daniels because he is my spiritual mentor in a lot of my ways since 2020, I want to say. But anyway, there's something called a unique discontent where sometimes God will place things that are just sickening to you, things that frustrate you and just burn you to your spirit that happens in life. Well, God uniquely agitates you all in those ways because obviously that's a problem you can solve. And whenever you are placed in this world where you can be a problem solver, you are much more impactful and influential than you know, because then now you are in a position to be able to rise and elevate and be impactful and increase in ways of influence, impact, and income when you can solve problems. So anyway, to my point, God does that. He gives people unique agitation. So for me, what something might agitate me about certain things in life, the next person, they might not feel that way about it, but it's something else to them that might uniquely agitate them. So to my point, the idea of dealing with people, lack of communication, short communication, or not knowing something, people not giving clarity, or people not being considerate or having empathy and compassion when people are investing or pouring their heart out to be a part of something, and then you get rejected or hurt, or people just, again, are inconsiderate of what you might have went through. When I tell y'all, it boils my spirit. Because for me, I'm just a type of person naturally that I am very considerate of people, what they're doing, communication I value. So for me, I enjoy being elaborative whenever I'm communicating, because that means a lot to me, because I would rather give people more information than not enough, so they can be clear on things and so you can understand. I ain't trying to hide nothing. This is the real thing. So just dealing with people like that in all of these pursuits that I was trying to pursue since 2020, trying to get involved in other people's events and seeing how they operate and seeing what they were doing, that, oh, this could be better, or like, oh, this is not good. God woosawed over me and was like, Ebony, you can be doing this yourself. So from there, guys, 2021 was that bad enough experience that I was like, okay, I am on a voyage to do this, and I'm gonna do this God's way, and then now I see what I need to be doing. So therefore, there was when the start of me really deciding to push myself into the planning arena, and organizing and planning events and doing things like that. So 2021, here I am going to God, because again, y'all, I include God in everything that I'm doing, talking to God. Now, remind you, just again, these are just the things my faith is prompting me to do. It doesn't make me right. But now, because I have decided to do this thing God's way, and I feel like, okay, God has given me this, he has downloaded this in me, this is now something I am held accountable to carry out now. Because then I would be now telling God no, or turning myself away from God and the assignment he may have for me, all because I'm not stepping out in faith to do it. So I'd rather be wrong in stepping out of something because I felt like God told me to do it, versus not doing it at all, right? So this is like my new relationship. This is how my new relationship is now that I have decided to do this thing God's way. So y'all, here I am talking to God, going to the drawing board of communicating, praying, figuring out what it is I want to do first. So I started with, planning my first fashion show. And so October of 2022 was my very first fashion show or event under the umbrella of Godly Models TV. And it was called the Runway Ministry and Fellowship Experience. All of these things are going to just be for another time, but I just wanted to share with you how my journey started of me becoming an event planner, organizing and putting events together. So now Godly Models TV is now in the idea, in the forefront. So God gave me the name of Godly Models TV because not only do I want to plan events and fashion shows and whatever other events under that name, but I eventually want to move into producing shows and things like that. So that's why it's called Godly Models TV. So here it is. Godly Models TV is now a brand. In 2022, though, is when I made it official by getting a license from the state that I was currently living in, which is Alabama, making it official. Officially now, Godly Models TV is a legit brand. All right. So now under that, I've been able to host from 2022 to now. I've been able to host 6 fashion shows, 6 pop-up shops, and some other things. Just kind of serving in other ways of putting my fashion brand out there in other events. So I've been able to kind of get some things rolling, and to me that showed me that, okay, obviously God is approving this because it was happening. Because I will say this, all before, in my former self, when I was living to please the world and still trying to pursue these things, always going out for auditions, always wanting to, do this and entertain people, impact people, nothing worked. I'm going to just say that. It just resulted in me not becoming and doing the things how I wanted to do on the level I wanted to do it, right? So that's a whole nother topic. But here it is. God has allowed me to see these things come to fruition, and that is what gives me the motivation and encouragement that this is what I'm doing for the glory of God. So God has approved of me to do it. Now, it does not mean that this journey was easy. It brings in even more. So this is now where everything starts, guys. So here it is. 2022 had my first event, had several events in between them. In 2024 is when God gave me the vision for Gospel Fashion Week, y'all. With Gospel Fashion Week, of course, we all know, because you can hear even the name, Gospel Fashion Week. It came from, just the idea of the other profound fashion weeks, New York Fashion Week, LA Fashion Week, fashion weeks. Okay, so it's not nothing new, really. Nothing nobody new is, and nothing that anybody do is new under the sun, right? It's all been done before. So here it is though. I see that, trying to be a part of these events. I see what so many models and aspiring models and fashion aspiring fashion designers have to go through trying to be a part of these big names, these high names, right? They're spending out so much money that's unnecessary. Because I'm not against investing, right? I get it. And now I also understand now, because I'm on that spectrum of somebody who plans and hosts events and providing a platform and opportunity for others. You have to be willing to invest in yourself to do that. So, but anyway, there are still people out there, event owners, planners, whatever you want to call them, who put these events together, the leaders of these certain organizations. They're all about greed, right? They're all about idolatry and just doing things in a culture's way to try to do whatever they can to reach the top, even if it means stumbling and kicking others while they're on their way up. So as I now see this, because I have a new perspective in life, I have a new lens that I get to see things, I'm seeing all of this happen. I'm seeing where aspiring models want to be a part of these events. They are paying out all kind of money where they're not benefiting from it. They're not getting much out of it, and they're not getting anything out of it as far as their soul is concerned. They just want to be a part of this platform because it's popular. But these people, these organizers, these leaders, they're not doing things God's way. They're doing it in a way that it is exploiting these people. They're doing it in a way where they are demeaning people. They are manipulating people, deceiving people. I see this. I've also been a part of it because I was trying to do these things as my former self. So I see it all. So because of that, I felt like that was my place to grab a hold of doing this, because this was an agitation that God made sure he made clear for me, that this is now an industry and an arena that I need to step in to be a light, to be an agent, and give God access to my life and be a billboard for God in this arena, which is fashion and entertainment and media. All right. So long story short, of course, you got New York Fashion Week, LA Fashion Week, whatever other fashion week, the thought of Gospel Fashion Week. It is plain and clear what this fashion week is about, because it has the word gospel at the beginning. If you don't know, I will explain to you. Gospel means the good news of Jesus Christ, that he died for your sins and your salvation if you have faith in him, right? That is the good news. That is the gospel. So Gospel Fashion Week, all things obviously understood what Gospel Fashion Week should mean when you even just hear the name. So now here I am on the forefront, being somebody that is exposed of what my brand is all about, because of even just the name Gospel Fashion Week. It puts me in the line of fire of the world, of people, because of what I'm doing, because of what I believe in and what I'm standing firm in and in my faith. All right, so I'll start there. So anyway, God gave me the vision for Gospel Fashion Week, and I was just bold enough to step out in faith to go for it. Now, let's talk about me first as an individual. Then I'm just going to now get into just everything, how I felt about Gospel Fashion Week. Me as an individual, I'm a single mom who is trying to pursue these exploits, taking care of my household, got a younger daughter who's a teenager, but somebody that I am fully responsible for. So that, still working a job, still working to take care of my bills. But now here I am trying to, aspiring to be a full-time entrepreneur, meaning wanting to be in full-time ministry and not be working for nobody else. Of course, this was something I always aspired, that I knew that I was an entrepreneur at spirit. So here I am though, trying to do all of these things, but then trying to do it God's way now that I know that I cannot do things the way other people are doing it. Here I am trying to pursue and have all of these facets of my life, all of these elements of my life that I'm trying to pursue. But then there's a way I have to do it. Even if I don't like the journey, even if the outcome is not how I want, even if I am not comfortable with it, even if it hurts, I still have to do it a certain way. And that is God's way. So because I know that I have to plan this event, going to God, of course, praying to God, seeking God, fasting, praying, reading the Bible, taking a note and just trying to receive a word, listening to sermons, constant prayer. this is how I'm doing things, to just try to receive those downloads about what I need to do and how I need to plan Gospel Fashion Week. So long story short, Gospel Fashion Week is now noted. I have a blueprint for Gospel Fashion Week according to how God and I talked about. Very first Fashion Week comes to life March of 2025 in Birmingham. So of course, this is where I live. This is where I want to have it at first. From one Gospel Fashion Week to the next, I have presented with all kinds of firearms and punches and just all kinds of ups and downs from dealing with people and things. So nothing changed about the punches and the bruises and all of the things I was taking, trying to still have Gospel Fashion Week. But in the end, God still allowed it to happen, and God has put in people in place, whether they or it is going to be temporary or permanent in my life. And so that's another part that I want to encourage you. If you are a person, a man or woman of God, that you are carrying out your ministry, you are a leader of something, you are a business owner, or you serve in that capacity where you are held to be impactful to others. In saying that God has, I'm sorry, I lost my thought. I'll just say, just doing this for God's glory. I just knew, like, okay, here it is. It's in fruition. Now I got to do things in a certain way. So it doesn't mean that the journey is going to be easy. It just means you have to still decide to dedicate and choose which way you're going to do this, even if it doesn't turn out how you want. So anyway, the first Gospel Fashion Week is underway. Oh, there it is. God put the people in place, whether it or they will be temporary or permanent in your life. God will put the things in place, but you still have to, God is still looking for you to see where he can trust you at, to trust if you're going to be faithful to him, faithful to the journey of trusting the process and trusting God. He's looking, he's watching to see what you're going to do. Because while you're doing what you're doing, you're going to be hit with so many things on different areas and sides that you could easily say, you know what, I'm gonna go back to doing it how I've been doing it. Or you know what, this was the easy route. Or you know what, I'd rather just do that because I'm afraid that the fear of failure or things like that. It could dictate your decisions if you simple like that. If you're not willing to really surrender yourself to God. But in me surrendering and really doing that, it's a choice every day to surrender it. And I'm gonna tell you now, being an entrepreneur, it truly tests your faith. Because for one, you are blindly going after something that you don't know what it's going to look like in the end. You have a vision in your heart and mind of the outcome of something, but you are constantly pursuing it, not knowing what is going to happen. Something totally different may come out of it. It may change you for a different, but it's a lot. So I just wanted to share that. And so I had my first one. Everything still ultimately was a success. Had my second one, it still was ultimately a success. Had my third one, still ultimately a success. And by success, meaning God allowed everything to come to fruition according to the blueprint. Yes, I still had disappointments of dealing with people, inconsiderate people, frustrations and all of that. But nonetheless, I didn't allow it to stop me from going forward with planning the event. I still went in forward of being obedient to God, even if I was like, man, I'm just over this. This is not even worth it because I'm not getting the feedback. I'm not getting the responses, the support, the help, the love, the whatever that I felt would make sense to help somebody who's planning an event. A lot of those things were missing pieces, but God put it all together that the event still came together successfully according to the blueprint. I didn't have to take out much, or I didn't have to, I didn't have to cancel anything. Right. One event, though, however, in Tennessee, yes, I had to go from it being a 3-day weekend to a 2-day weekend due to some warfare and some things that happened on the other person's end. But nonetheless, I didn't allow that to say, you know what, I'm just going to cancel the whole event. Just never mind. You have to still persevere through those things. And every time I did, God still brought it all together. So now as we approach Gospel Fashion Week for Jacksonville, I will just start with saying, let me read a couple of things just to make sure I am so I just want to talk about like how for me the things I'm just spilling out of just on this journey, because again, it doesn't promise. I know that I'm not perfect in this. I just know that I decided, like David, to be after God's heart, meaning trying to do it God's way. But there are times where I have doubts, I have fear, I have worries, I have just a lot of attacks on my spirit, on my focus, on my determination of doing this. And so in that, I just want to mention how, to me, it is always a humbling experience for me. For why? Because I'll use the story of David. If you guys know the story of David, and if you don't, go to the book of 1 Samuel, where it kind of shows you David's start. Even though David was the king, we talking about the David who slayed Goliath. His start was a humble beginning of him being a shepherd, tending to his father's sheep every day, being overlooked by his father and his brothers, overlooking him to look at them like they were better or mightier or could accomplish more. Here he is still out there attending to his father's sheep, being a shepherd, but still humbly doing it. Even though David might have felt within himself that it's some things I can do that, but still being pushed to still have to remain in humble beginnings. It is something that it is testing. It is a test of your character and who you are and who you're going to become. So just using the story of David, though, where again, before he slayed Goliath, and that changed the trajectory of his life of being the king, he was still a servant. And even though he was anointed at that time of him being a servant, just imagine knowing you were anointed, knowing that God had taken his spirit from Saul and put it in David, because he was the next king. But you still got to go and serve. You still a harp player for this guy that you're serving in his court, right? In his palace, serving Saul. But you have something in you that you are going to do great and mighty things. Imagine how humbling that is, knowing that that you are called to be doing something bigger, but you still got to remain to do the things that you don't want to do. And I'll use modern day as an example. Still working at a job, this is crap. You don't want to be here. You hate it. You sick of just what was happening in your circumstance right around you. Living somewhere you don't want to be living. You'd rather be living in a beautiful home, driving a car you don't want to drive, working at a job, or just doing the things you are sacrificing and doing things that you truly don't want to be doing, but you're still living in it, still trying to walk it out. Well, this is David's life, until his trajectory changed when he slayed Goliath. All right. So I compare myself to that story in a sense, because for me, here I am still being a single mom, living in an apartment that I wish I had better and more. Working somewhere where I don't want to be there, but still, trying to work, still not being a stranger to working hard, not being lazy. I'll work 2 jobs if I need to make sure my bills are paid. But I know deep down in my heart, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. So every day to have to clock in for somebody else plagues me. But I still get up and do it. Now, because I have a new perspective in life, I do understand now there is a patience in a way that you be patient with things. The way that you wait, you have to do it with patience, with knowing that, okay, you might be in your season that you're sowing the seeds right now, so it's not time for your harvest. You might be in that season where your harvest is on the way. Where's your faith at, and where's your loyalty to God in those seasons where it's a season that you are not comfortable with, that you do not like? So again, just trying to compare my story a little bit to David, the Bible is always bringing itself back up to me in ways to help me to move forward, because easily I could give up. Before, in my former self, I was the type of person, like if something didn't go how I wanted to go, I'd give up quickly. I would start something and don't finish it because I just didn't understand it, and I didn't trust the process or even trust myself enough to know like things take time, seed, time, harvest. And I just didn't look at it that way. And on the top of that, didn't include God in nothing. So it wasn't going to work or benefit myself anyway. But just knowing now in that perspective that I have now, I do understand it more. But the Bible has been my light in helping me, because it brings up stories to me that shows me it just in my heart, like, okay, daughter, think back to the book of David. Think back to the book of Job. Think back to the book of in Genesis with Noah. These are the things that happen when you are called. when you are called and chosen. So anyway, I also want to share, like, again, so this journey is a humbling journey of, being somebody you're a leader of your ministry. You're a leader. You the one that planned these events. You put it together. You are the one that is organizing it. People have to come to you for this opportunity. So imagine feeling that power and that impact that you have to still turn around every day and have to humbly report to work for somebody else, to humbly report to your 1-bedroom apartment where, for a few years you've been sleeping on the couch so your daughter could have a room. Right. And this is just me being transparent again for the person that that is on this journey who has decided that they want to walk this thing out with God. Yes, you may have your slip up and fails. Your faith may be tested and rocky, but you still have decided this is what you want to do. This is for you in transparency. So just imagine being humbled constantly in this, when you know that there are big things that you want to be doing and should be doing. All right. So I also want to just bring up how, knowing that in doing this for Gospel Fashion Week, because again, Gospel Fashion Week is a 3-day event. It's an event that allows performers, excuse me, it allows performers, models, designers, excuse me, performers, models, designers. Hold on, y'all. Okay, I'm back. It allows performers, models, designers, panelists, speakers, all of these people to come together for this weekend. And just imagine, because me being a person that prays about everything, I'm praying like, God, I do want to be a blessing to others. God, I do want to be a leader. Lord, increase my impact and my influence. You got to be ready for what you're praying for, because even in me praying for that, I don't even really know what all of that comes with until I'm learning these lessons and going to school now with these experiences. So for all these things that I've been praying for since 2019, let's just say, of course, I always knew in my heart that I wanted to impact people, but I'm saying in my new self, because all that other stuff now doesn't even count. So from 2020 up to now, here I am always praying to be a blessing to others, praying to be a leader, praying to impact others and increase me, God, all of these things. And do you realize what those prayers come with? So yes, just imagine knowing this is who, people now when they meet me, they see me as the leader of this Gospel Fashion Week. And you praying to be a blessing to others, but then they don't even realize, behind the scenes, what your humble beginning, what it actually looks like. And not saying that I'm shy or I'm scared to or I don't want to show others or be transparent about it, but I'm just saying, just imagine knowing this is what people see from the outside, but they don't know what you're going through, your start of those small beginnings to get to where God is calling you to be, to where God will bring your platform to light, right? You have to still be hidden. You have to still do these things until it's time for God to bring that awareness to who you are and for you to step up to the plate. So let's see what else, because I just want to make sure I kind of hit on everything. So yeah, just praying to be a blessing to others might not always look like what you want. For me, knowing okay, here I am trying to entertain people, impact people, bring together a full fun weekend of, people performing, models, fashion show, music, playing games in between, doing giveaways, all of these fun things over a full weekend of just bringing people together for fellowship. You don't know how God is using you, and that you being a blessing might not look like what you think a blessing is supposed to look like. So if God's still using you, because you have purified yourself and being used for every good work, that doesn't mean you might get the financial benefit or impact of it. Somebody else might, right? And that's in the sense of saying, once you still choose to obey God, you don't know what God is doing through your obedience. It might not be for you. The blessing might be for somebody else. So just imagine even seeing this happen or unfold in front of you when you are okay, here I am. I'm on the forefront as a leader, as an organizer, as the person that is putting this whole event together, building this platform to give other people opportunities. And you would think like, God, where is my blessing? Where is my increase? Where is my profit? But it might not happen for you in that way or in the way that you think. It might happen for you in terms of your growth of your character and who you are, and in terms of you leveling up and elevating in that way. But it still might not look like how you think it's supposed to look. So just for me sometimes to sit back and watch other people feel like this event has been a blessing to me, or even just saying, like, for instance, I'll give an example. With our event, we have vendors come all the time, and we have vendors, we have models. And my incentive to people who participate in my event is that through ticket sales, you can make some money. Because I understand, what it's like for you to invest your time to be a part of this event. I understand that, and I want to be able to incentivize that. So for me, being a leader to do this, because not everybody does this. Ticket sales. So this gives somebody else an opportunity to still make money. And it doesn't force them, but it just says, hey, if you sell tickets, you can get a percentage of those ticket sales. Well, I have had some models after the ending, the culmination of my events of Gospel Fashion Weeks. Let's just go with Gospel Fashion Weeks that I've had, 4 of them. There are some models that have sold tickets. They made money. Well, in a sense, whether people believe this or not, they made more money than I did, because with me investing into, investing for the venues, investing for the DJ, investing for photographers, all of this money that I have to invest to even make this event possible, and to say I'm funding it all by myself. I don't have no sponsorships, no donations. I don't have no partners. I don't know if people think that because of just how I place myself as in the way that I do my ads and marketing. I don't know if people just think like I just got this whole team and sponsor, and don't know. This is me funding my own events with my own money that I have to work hard for, going to somebody else's job to make it all work, right? So this is what the video and argument is about right now. So what I'm saying is that in the end, when me praying to be a blessing and praying for impact and increase and influence, it might not look like I'm the one that's getting or receiving that. It might be for somebody else, but I needed to be obedient for that to happen. So here it is. We got some models that walked away making some money. Well, technically they made more money than me, because I invested money and I didn't make anything in return. Didn't even break even, right? And that's another story for itself for entrepreneurs, where, when you invest, sometimes it takes a minute before you even make any profit. But you're still investing because you know what you're doing. It's a process in this. So yeah, down to some models. I had a few vendors a part of some of my events that literally sold out, made whatever money, whatever products they had, everything gone, sold out, made good money. And here I am, got to return home, didn't make one profitable dime at all. So just imagine seeing that happen through your eyes, because you have a vision, you have a plan, you have an idea of how you want things to turn out. Because yes, I pray for profit, right? God, because God is not anti-profit, so I don't feel bad about me saying, Lord, I pray that my events will sell out. I pray that, yeah, but right now that's not my reality. So just imagine seeing that happen for others, other people saying like, I love the event, me seeing that models are getting paid because I'm the one paying them out, things like that. For me to still sit home and like, well, I didn't make a dime. However, when you have decided that you are doing this for the glory of God, you have decided you are dedicated in doing this to God, this is a part of the journey where you will be tested of saying, are you going to turn away, walk away from God, all because things aren't working how you think it should work? Are you going to walk away from God and be disloyal and start, putting your hope and your trust in man and the way culture is doing things to try to get money or trying to get rich quick, all because things aren't working? Well, no, if you decided to dedicate your life to God, surrendering to God, this is the part of the test. This is a part of testing your faith to see where you are. And God is watching and waiting to see what you're going to do when he give you these opportunities. So yeah, I just wanted to share that part of it. Also, I wanted to share where, hold on, y'all, give me a second. Let me make sure, because I got some stuff I just made some notes on, so I can just make sure I don't miss nothing. Yeah, so and again, I don't know if people think I have it all together, just because of the fact that, when I organize these events, putting things together, there's a way that I do things in decency and order with integrity, professionalism, my character, my communication, because I value that, because this is what the Bible and what God has taught me and has raised me to how to do these things. So I don't know if people just think I got it all or got it together, but I don't. I'm just a single mom still trying to pursue these things and doing it in a way that pleases God, that this is me, like really sacrificing, making the sacrifices and investing in these things and just being obedient, even if I don't have it all and don't have the resources. So let's see. Yeah, but so with that said, though, I wanted to share with you, though, for you, if you're a leader, if you're carrying out your ministry, if you are serving others in that capacity where you are still expected to lead others or whatever that may be, it takes investment. You are going to have to invest. So I said that on two ends, because when I mentioned earlier that here I was investing into me being a part of other people's events, I feel like there are still going to be ways where you still would need to serve others. There are going to be times where you need to give and not be expecting anything in return. There are times where you need to have empathy and compassion in situations like that. And so to the example of what happened earlier, of how that lady just didn't have no compassion or empathy for my situation, where the event wasn't for 2 or 3 more days, and I explained to her my situation and she just kept my money, didn't hear back from her, nothing like that. It was just like, okay, this lady got my money. You have to, when you are doing things in the light of doing it God's way, you have to consider all of these things. And so for me, where was I at? So yeah, but when you're investing, so now to the other side of it, of me investing and knowing that I have to make these investments, I'm not mad that I'm the one that is planning these events, organizing these events, and it takes me investing and sacrificing, and some things I just can't do. I can't have the luxury of going out, hanging out, spending money frivolously. No, I have to save and utilize my money for something that I have already decided and dedicated to doing it. So in which I'm not mad about that, because I know what I'm doing it for. I know the conversation I had with God. So I'm not saying that to say that I'm mad that I have to invest my money, and now that I am more mature in my walk, in my journey, I understand investing. So just to encourage you, that you got to know that you will have to invest your time, your talent, your treasure, finances. That's a part of the journey. So you have to look at it that way, of knowing that, and that may mean serving others or doing things where you're giving and not worrying about getting back or taking back, doing things not looking for something in return. Knowing that, okay, what you do for others in this journey, when you have decided and you know what that word of God told you to do, because now you're walking in the way of doing what the word of God says, right? You're not just reading the word, but you're doing what it says. You know the importance of serving and giving and not looking for things in return, but knowing that in that, whatever you do for others, God will make it happen for you. So now when you do things for others, you're not looking for them to, I sold into her business, I gave $50, or I bought some shirts, or whatever you might have did for somebody. You can't do it with the perspective of thinking they need to do something back for you. No, you do it and know you move on, but knowing that God is going to reward you or refund you or restore you in his timing. So that's the perspective you got to have, but you got to know you got to invest in 7 ventures. Yes, in 8, meaning that put your talents and time and treasure into these things in hopes that, a return will come from, if not all, something, but you got to invest. And not doing it in a way of looking for things back. But yes, if you are a entrepreneur or business owner, or somebody like me, again, with my event, I'm an event planner, so I plan events. Of course, I'm looking for a return or profit in my events. Who wants to host an event and nobody comes and shows up? That's a part of the arena I'm in. There are other arenas and things like that, or sectors of society where it's not necessarily where you get the return of the investment financially because you plan an event. It might be other things you're doing, but in the arena I'm in, of course, So I know that, but I have these prayers with God and talks with God, but just still leading up until the day of the event, though, I'm making investments, investing my time in reading or studying the word, investing my talents of doing what I'm doing, communicating with others well, helping others, and building this platform so others can have an opportunity to express themselves in a way that God blessed them to be a talent, and all of those things, dealing with other people. So you got to know that you're going to have to invest God's way, however, okay? So just know that. Let's see what else. Let's see. So just remember that seed time harvest, that you planting these seeds of investing, or planting these seeds of learning, of developing, spending that time of downtime. So if you say, for instance, like for me as an event planner, I mean, up until the day of the event, I have some time to read, study the Bible. But like that week or two leading up to the event, man, I'm like on go. But all of those things that I've studied, I've learned, I've prepared for, planned for, that's what you do in that downtime of being productive. So that way, when it's time to execute, you execute with moral excellence and doing it God's way, because that's what you have been preparing for. But you have to put the time in, an investment of doing that. Investment in learning, investing in studying, investing in, developing your craft, whatever it is that you're doing. Learn from others, taking counsel from others that are godly people that you can take counsel from. So it includes all of that, and you have to be willing to do that. All right, let's see what else. So yeah, and that's my choice, to do it God's way. All right, so let's see. And so with that said, though, Gospel Fashion Week, though, I will admit that I just had a lot of disappointments, because it was just where, hold on y'all, because my daughter calling me. Hold on y'all, I'm coming. So y'all, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up and do a part 2. But I just wanted to share some things, y'all, because again, at the end of the day, just knowing that doing this, it was the people that disappointed me more. And one thing that I will say in transparency, and this is what I want to share with you who are entrepreneurs or leaders or whatever, that focus on knowing what God is doing for you, instead of focusing on the things that don't work. You have to learn how to allot your focus. Okay. So for me, a lot of it was me consumed a bit by the disappointments of the people who dropped out or said they were going to participate, and at the last minute they're, I'm not going to do it again, and that's a whole nother conversation that I'm going to have. But it was just so much disappointments throughout, because here I am at the mercy of all these people that, again, we got panelists, we got speakers, we got runway judges, we got models, designers, the DJ, the photographer, 40 something odd people that I am just basically, for lack of a better word, the leader of, to organize and put it all into place with God and myself. These are all of these people that I have to lead and delegate and tell them what to do and show them and put it all together, because I'm the one organizing it that way. This is a lot. It's pressure, and sometimes it is very stressful and overwhelming when just me, myself, doing the work of 10 people, having to communicate with people constantly, let them know what's happening. And just imagine where you got to do this with all of these people. You're a person that I value communication, so I'm constantly always trying to be thorough when I communicate. Having people that still just either not reading, not paying attention to detail, not listening, and still just turning around like they don't understand how intricate and what all you are literally doing to put an event together. So it was just a lot where I felt like so many people were so inconsiderate of me, or they just didn't understand it. And it was just so hard to try to navigate through that, where I'm like, look, simply trying to communicate with people through email, through GroupMe, and not getting responses. People saying, I'm sorry, I got stuff I'm doing. And I get it. I'm not here to say that you have to sacrifice your life for Gospel Fashion Week. But if you committed to something, you have to be determined and committed to doing it. If you did it, Don't overcommit yourself to something if you know that you got other things going on. But the moment you have decided to commit to something and give that your yes, you are held accountable for that. But people don't see it that way, because you know why? Because at the end of the day, where here I am, I have an event where you don't have to pay to participate. You just get to come out and do this. People take that for granted. Because for one, they might look at it like, well, I didn't have to pay no money for it. But yes, it's still all an investment opportunity. Even if you didn't have to pay to be a part of the event, you still have to look at it as investing your time. And all of that matters. All of that goes into the seed of you getting a harvest back. So even not for me investing in this event and investing in my ministry, you as the person on the other end, you have to invest. If you're trying to grow, if you're trying to elevate, if you're trying to do things and you want to see success, you have to invest. And so even if it wasn't money, it's your time, your talent. And people just did not understand that. So it was just so frustrating, because again, here I am. I know what I'm seeing. God has given me this vision. I know what's going on. God has given me the wisdom through the Bible, through study, through prayer. I see all of these things, and it is so frustrating. And it was just attacking me spiritually, of just seeing people that just were inconsiderate. So from the people dropping out to people not reading and paying attention, and here I am communicating and giving my all in trying to make sure I make things clear for you. Also giving myself, in character, because I care about myself as a leader, my character, how I communicate with you. And it's like people just take me for a joke. I don't know if they just didn't take me serious. I don't know if people just felt like, well, she's probably not the one doing all of this. It's hard. It's hard knowing that I am actually doing all of these things through God's glory, of course, and his grace, of planning this whole event, putting it all together, being the one putting the puzzle pieces together, making the calls, investing the money. This is me doing all of this up until the day of the event. I'm doing all of this by myself. It's a shame where I felt like it was times I have to hide or diminish everything that I actually do, because people may not believe me, or they may still take me for a joke, or they think like, no, she ain't doing all that, or they think that I think I'm doing it because I just want to do it all by myself, or I want to do it out of arrogancy. No, this is me genuinely and humbly taking on an assignment, pursuing it, carrying out my ministry for the glory of God. And these are just all the things that God has on me. Again, just thinking about the story of Noah. He had to build something. He had a major assignment that people obviously laughed and took him for granted until it rained. But just imagine him having to build this ark, having to tell people something, but they don't believe it because they don't see it yet. Just imagine that. And then he still have to work on this ship, work on this boat, ship, whatever you want to call it, until it really proved like, oh, this is why he built the boat. Oh, I get it now. Oh, I'm sorry. No, like, it's a lot. And it was so stressful and overwhelming knowing that also I gotta like kind of make people think this is a we thing, like, we'll get back to you, my team and I, when it ain't no team. It's me and God. And yes, God put the people in place in due time, like when the event happens, but everything leading up to that, it ain't nobody else. It's me. And it's a part of the faith walk. And I'm not saying that out of arrogancy or to bring the glory or praise to myself. I'm showing you also, it's just an encouragement that through God, through Christ, God will give you the grace and the strength, and the Holy Spirit will use you and do what the Holy Spirit needs to do in you to get these things done. So yeah, but it was hard just knowing like all of these things that I'm trying to do to produce this event, doing it all by myself. It's like, it's hard even being able to explain to people like, hey, I'm doing this all, like I need y'all cooperation, and I just wasn't getting it. So it was very frustrating. So nonetheless, long story short, guys, having this event was most frustrating because of the people, not because of the blueprint itself. God has allowed everything to come through successfully as far as the blueprint. When I look back, and that's another thing that we have to be thankful for, saints, children, men and women of God. When God has called you to do something and you are going through your journey, even though you may have slip ups, you may have moments where you fail, you got to also look at those failures and do the right thing with those moments, learn from it and grow. But as children of God, men, women of God, when you're doing these things, God allows you to look back to see what he has done. I had to literally, because, after everything happened, and, even though I was still in a lot of joy in the moment of each day, Gospel Fashion Week taking place Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the people that did come through, I had to literally look back to see, like, God, I'm sorry. And God, thank you, because you brought it all together. And y'all, but nobody else knew, like, weeks leading up to it, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, just in fear, in disappointment, in anger, and just a lot. So back to the other point that I was saying, though, guys, we have to look at it again. For those of you who are truly walking this thing out, you have to know and determine and decide, like, darn, what was I going to say, y'all? I'm sorry. Like, don't look at what you didn't achieve, or don't look at what's not happening. Look at what is happening. God brought all these people together, and I'm gonna tell you, like, even just leading up to the event, when I knew, like, I had to travel to Florida, and I knew I had the practice on that Thursday before the event happened on Friday. Here I am, scared, nervous, upset, mad at some people, like, man, such and such, decided not to be a part of the event. All these people dropping out. It consumed me with so much of, hurt, disappointment, that I didn't even, like, really take time to be thankful and grateful for the people that stuck in it, that did show up, that did commit, who was still there to the end. So nonetheless, I said that to say, y'all, I get to my practice, all of the feelings that I had leading up to it, the hurt, the disappointment, the scare, the fear of what this event was going to look like, is it going to come together? I got to the first practice, y'all. So for all the models that showed up, it just dropped a huge load, and I was just like, oh my God, thank you. And then not only that, it just gave me that opportunity to do and be what God needed me to be. So when people actually see me and meet me, that is my opportunity that God is looking forward for you and myself to do. Show up and be the light. Do things God's way. Make sure you are doing things in good character, executing with excellence. So that was my opportunity to show people, look, this is the person you've been communicating that you obviously didn't trust before. So this is why you took me for granted, took my platform for granted, didn't really believe what was happening, or you didn't really give it priority. You didn't prioritize this event, but you just didn't know, you was uncertain, and it's okay. I guess I kind of get it. Here I am. This is my opportunity now to do things professionally, do things with good character, competence, showing, this is me, this is who I am. And it just felt good to be able to do that, because I knew that once people met me, it opened them up more. And that's exactly what I saw. So it brought down a lot of the tension and anxiety and pressure when I finally was able to meet people and show them who I am as a leader and woman of God. And I prayed about that, because this is what I pray for. I don't just do this just for fun. I do this knowing that I am in constant prayer to be a good leader, in constant prayer to have good competence and character, in constant prayer to do things God's way. So then now it's up to me to do it when that opportunity comes. So here it is, guys, though. The whole weekend came, each day from Thursday to Sunday. God brought it all together. And I just wanted to say that, I know that for a while I was more so consumed by who didn't show up, but I am thankful for everybody that did show up, to the vendors, the few that did participate, the models that all came and made it so beautiful, the DJ, the photographer, my co-host, my red carpet host, everything came together, and Gospel Fashion Week was so beautiful. So I first want to give my thanks to you all, and saying thank you to each and every one of you, and I want you to know that. But I just wanted to share this part in transparency of showing you that it's not an easy journey when you are on the other side or the other end trying to put things together, and you are leaning and depending on others. I'm at your mercy of, because if you all don't show up, I can't have this event. So it wore on me. It did. But nonetheless, in obedience, I still carried it out. I still planned Gospel Fashion Week, and I still went forward with it, not knowing what it was going to turn out like. All right. So I just wanted to share that, and just show you guys that in the end, you have to still make a decision if you're going to do things for God's glory. So I just want to share that the biggest lesson I had out of this And I'm gonna end it, and I'll just have to come back for a part 2 and just kind of recap this. But my biggest lesson out of this was knowing God showing me this is what I go through every day, dealing with you and people and my people. I have to deal with you all's following your own path. I have to deal with you all being insolent, disobedient. I have to deal with you all choosing the world over me. I have to deal with you all forgetting me. And yet I still have grace on you. I still have mercy and compassion on whom I choose, including you, Ebony. So I'm thankful that God brought all of that up to me, because here I am, like angry, ready to give up, fussing at God, mad because I'm like, Lord, these people are getting on my nerves. I'm just over this, Lord. I mean, y'all fussing. And again, I'll have to come back for a part 2. But y'all, I mean, even though I was still obeying, but I'm telling y'all, I was fussing with God, crying, fussing, not crying at all. But God showed me. He had to reveal to me after seeing it. God had to show me after the fact, daughter, I want you to know now, this is what I go through every day with my people. Disobedient, insolent, not loving me, and me giving you the choice to love me, you still choose the world. So in that was very humbling, and I'm thankful God did reveal that to me. And now it doesn't mean that it makes me perfect, like, oh, I got it, now I'm good. No, because I'm going to still trip up. But on this journey, it helps me. The Bible, God, the Holy Spirit convicts me and helps me in. And this is exactly why you need to be determined to read the Bible. This is exactly why you need to be determined to ask God to give you the Holy Spirit, determined to communicate with God for moments like this. Because if you are a true Christian and woman of God, and I ain't talking about these people who blaspheme the name of God, just using his name just because you know God, and oh, God bless me and this and that, but you ain't truly walking this thing out. You ain't truly surrendering. What true surrender means, taking up your cross. Yeah, that's very offensive. It is. And to sit back and see it, to see how business owners, leaders, entrepreneurs who, loosely, oh, God bless me and thank you, God. But then deep down, y'all are doing all kind of things and doing it how the world does, how culture does it, still idolizing, still in adultery, still in greed. Still not doing things inside the will of God, but you tagging on God and Christ's name. That's very offensive. So I will say this to you as well, Christian who's truly walking it out. Don't envy what these other people are doing, because you don't know behind closed doors what their true walk is, if they're truly carrying their cross, to understand what it really is like. But yeah, so I'm just thankful that God convicted me in that way to give me my biggest lesson overall. Even if I didn't make a profit from Gospel Fashion Week, but I still feel like God has blessed me. He worked it out in terms of my character, showing me something different to elevate. He worked it out in terms of me being able to be a blessing to others. He worked it out in terms of me elevating in my leadership, in my impact, and in my influence. Because I feel like people, when they finally got a chance to meet me, they opened up, they understand now, and hopefully, because this is what I pray for. Now I got a new networking connection of people that I can say I may have now. But God had to reveal that to me, and I'm glad that he did. Did it feel good along the way? No. But I'm thankful for the Holy Spirit, for the Bible, for my connection with God, that he shows me in this. I had to go through it so God can say, okay, daughter, now this is your lesson. This is what you went through in school while you were having Gospel Fashion Week. You were in school at the same time. This is the lesson I need you to understand. This is what I do for you every day, having grace, even on yourself. When you were insolent and your former self, when you disrespected me, you were living to please the world. You abandoned me to pursue all of those things you wanted, living in your own ways. Didn't come to me, didn't pray, didn't cry out to me, none of those things. And I still gave you grace. You're still standing here today to have these events. Now you see what I have to go through every day, and yet I still have grace. My grace is still new for you. I still have compassion and mercy on the person that don't deserve it. So it helped me in that way, and it humbled me big time. So I'm gonna finish this up another time, because I gotta go, y'all. I just want to say thank you all for just allowing me to just share just my thoughts, just spilling it about Gospel Fashion Week. Again, read the Bible. That's what this is about. This is to encourage you to study that Bible. Look at the book of Job, the book of Samuel, where it talks about David's story. Again, the book of Job and the book of the first, Genesis with the about Noah. Look at the book of Luke. Wait, what was the book of Luke about? Oh, goodness. Yeah, so Luke 17:11-19. I can't think right now what it is, but look up those few books as it just relates to why I'm having this video, because I want to share this in transparency to let you know that this journey isn't easy. And it's not for the weak either. But if you have decided to dedicate and surrender your life to God, God also has his promises for you. There are some things that God is responsible for if you do your part inside the will of God. And so I'm just thankful for that, and I'm gonna keep on going and trying. I got to go back to the drawing board to find out what God wants me to do regarding Gospel Fashion Week, even if it means take some time off and develop or whatever, or it's time to go on to the next thing. I don't know what it is. I know I got to go back to God about it, because again, in encouragement, seek God in all that you do. Pray, read that Bible, fast. And again, for those out there that are just blaspheming the name of God because you think you know God, but you ain't truly surrendered, because you still living your old self, you still living, doing what you want to do, still carrying on that sin and living in your flesh and doing what you want to do, but you feel like your success is because God did that. Keep on doing what you're doing. But for the true children of God who are walking this thing out, don't envy that. Don't worry about that. Keep stepping and doing what you do. God has his way of still getting you there, and it might be totally different from what they are doing. So focus on your journey. Know that it won't be easy, but God has his promises for you that you can say, God, this is what your word said, because you have decided to surrender and submit to God. So I'm going to end it there. I'll come back again, but thank you all so much. Y'all can follow me on my platforms, Instagram, Gospel Fashion Week, and Godly Models TV, Facebook, Godly Models TV LLC, y'all. Make sure you subscribe, follow my channels. I normally do pop-up Bible studies from time to time anyway, but I just want to say thank y'all so much. Gospel Fashion Week was a success. And again, now maybe in part 2, I'll share the success and everything of Gospel Fashion Week, but I'm very thankful. And also Celebrate your victories, whether they're small or big. Don't despise your small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. So I don't look at this humble beginning as like, oh man, I just, I'm going to keep on going. And I'm going to celebrate those victories. So cheers to God. Thank you, God. And I just want to say that. So y'all, thank y'all so much. Till next time. All right, take care. Lord willing, it shall be so.